Okay, we're just chatting here with Lalli de Buitlear, and we're talking about StyleBawn and the past few decades, and she'll just tell you a little bit about that previous owner.
Yes, the people who owned StyleBawn when we came here to Delgany in 1989 had been living previously in StyleBawn about, say, 11 years before us, and they had come from Kilkenny. But John Gaisford St Laurence was one of the two sons belonging to Howth's Castle, famous Howth, and he loved County Dublin. He loved working in Dublin. He used to work in very posh antique auction firm. I can't really remember the name, but it was well known, and he was their accountant. Now, he sort of commuted between Howth and Kilkenny, where his family lived, and they lived somewhere in a rural area where the children had lots of fun with horses and so on, and they got into all these lovely places. So Hugh was the youngest boy, and he went to a very nice college in England, in the south of England, called Pearshire or somewhere like that. Anyway, it was a very nice horticultural college. And then the next boy went to work with horses in a very good stable here in Ireland, and the eldest boy followed suit, but he followed his father's business and he was in the accountants. Then there was Laura, who wasn't quite sure what she was going to do, but she loved animals. So she now runs a lovely animal care venue in Wicklow somewhere. And she's doing very well. She's married, and all the family got on very well together, and Susie loved living in Kilkenny. So eventually they bought StyleBawn, and they all came to live. So we had one happy family living opposite us, and Susie was great for inviting new people who came to Delgany to meet people in the village. So she sort of included everybody who was new to come and join the community and so on. So that's how we started the Tidy Towns. And John said, well, will we enter the garden festival, Wicklow Garden Festival, that was running at this time, which would have been about 94, 95 or so on. So it ran for about the best part of 10 years, nearly 10 years, and then it dwindled out. But John kept on with his garden, because we talked him into it. How about having people are always asking us, are the gardens going to open again in May or is it June? So we decided we'd open it on a May bank holiday and on the June bank holiday, and that's the way it ran. So John used to work, and Mr. Murphy was his gardener, and they worked non-stop from March on, having it really nice and tidy. So Susie used to arrange that some local area, like I can't remember, was it between here and Wicklow, they would do the cakes and bring them, and she would buy so many cakes for the Saturday and so many cakes for the Sunday. So the place was really lovely, and there was the little house where Hugh used to live, so they served the meals from there, and we had sandwiches if they wanted them. We had scones. Some of us made some scones, some of us made the sandwiches, but it was an old family thing, and it was really nice, and everybody enjoyed it. So his garden was absolutely beautiful, It had a vegetable part on the far end, which was sort of partly in the shade of the huge big trees. And he had a fruit garden, gooseberries, raspberries and strawberries, and then there was an apple included in amongst all these, so the apples came later on in the autumn. And then there was a very damp area, but it used to be a tennis court. So the tennis court was helped and mowed. Nobody played in it because it got too wet, and we seemed to have a lot of wet weekends and so on. So there's a beautiful stream that runs through the bottom of the garden, and John used to keep it beautifully. It was called Tree Trunk Stream. So people loved just coming into the garden, walking around the whole area, and then finding their way up to where the pot of tea was. So they would have a lovely evening and then meet people. And that's how it worked. You paid so much coming in, and children, I think, were free, and they weren't interested in the sandwich or the cakes or anything. They just loved running around.
And it was fundraising for the Tidy Towns.
And it was fundraising for the Tidy Towns. John seemed to hand out an awful lot of cash beforehand, but then he was duly paid back in. And Susie was duly paid for her cakes. So we had a profit of quite a nice little... If I mentioned this sum now, it would sound very small compared to what things are doing.
Yeah,
so that's it. But he was a lovely character, and we used to have such fun. We all enjoyed it immensely.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Thank you. Lovely.